Just hot. Hey, hot water. No. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man sara sabilihi ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. So we continue discussing what we had started last week regarding concerning a brief introduction to Kutubu Sitta. So we have started last week concerning discussing in brief, and this particular topic can go in somewhat lots of detail, but we try to summarize it as best as we are able. So we start first discussing concerning Kutubu Sitta, and based upon that Kutubu Sitta, that these are of the main source of books of hadith. They refer to as Ummahat as Sitt. So they refer to as being the main books of hadith or Usulul Hadith. So these books that they have gained a lot of attention between the ulama and also Tullab al-Ilm and also the Muslim in general. So it's upon us as each Muslim that we should have an understanding or some idea concerning what's the layout of these books and what they contain. So we had discussed first concerning what is mentioned regarding Kutubu Sitta as being that group of books and what is said about them in general. So I had mentioned regarding concern that a lot of interest regarding these 6 books. So we said initially that the ulama, they refer to as the main books of hadith as being Usul al-Khams. So initially they refer to the main books of hadith as being Usul al-Khams. And we mentioned those 5 books that they initially started. Then others added a 6th book to this collection of 5. And that 6th book that we mentioned that, so initially the 5 books that were given main attention that we mentioned were Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, and Nasa'i. So those are the 5 books that were giving certain of that attention. And then a discussion regarding some of the ulama, they introduced a 6th book to that collection of 5. That 6th book that, as we mentioned initially, there was some discussion between the ulama, those who favored Darimi, others who favored at the 6th book, Muwatta of Imam Malik, and others who favored that, the book of Ibn Majah, to be the 6th book of that collection of 6. But what have been now established, the established practice, I would say the established practice, that the 6th book that is mentioned now, that Ibn Majah is that 6th book. But initially there was some discussion. And the reason they included, compared to those 3, that regarding those 3, why some have chose as the 6th book as being Ibn Majah, based upon regarding that one, the level of, it has more hadith, that is, this is Zawahid, in addition to Kutub al-Khamsa. So additional hadith that are not found, meaning Zawahid, that are hadith that are not found in those 6 books, in those 5 books, that amongst those 3 books, Ad-Darimi, Muwatta and Ibn Majah, that it has more additional hadith compared to those 3, and that exceed what is already in Kutub al-Khamsa. And also regarding concerning his tabwibat. So regarding concerning Ibn Majah, regarding his tabwibat, concerning that his chapter headings, that he has much more compared to the others. But overall, those are the 6 books of hadith that we mentioned. I refer to as Usul al-Sitt. Then we discuss concerning of the ulama that those 6 books are divided into 2 categories. One that I refer to as Sahihain, that would mean Bukhari and Muslim as being the most authentic books of hadith that we have today. And also the second group are of those 6, those other 4 are referred to as Sunan al-Arba. So the other 4 that are referred to as Sunan al-Arba, and those 4 will be Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, and Nasa'i. So those who are concerned that are said to be as Sunan al-Arba. They will mention regarding concerning Allah so find that books that have been written related to those 6 books. Regarding the Rijal, collecting concerning the men's, the narrator of those 6 books. And also regarding concerning the actual matan, the actual text of those 6 books, that also books that are specific to those. So you find many works relating to those books that are available. Then we start discussing, and also have the discussion regarding concerning that hadith that are criticized in those mainly the 4 books of hadith that we mentioned that Ibn Jawzi, rahimahullah, of those who wrote a book called Al-Mawdu'at and other books, that he criticized, he discussed the weakness of some of the hadith in those 4 books, Abu Dawood, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, and At-Tirmidhi, not in that order, but he mentioned that hadith al-mawdu', hadith that are daif in those books. We mentioned that some of the ulama of or some of the mashayikh of contemporary time have somewhat looked into what have been mentioned by Ibn Jawzi regarding his criticism of some hadith that he labeled as being mawdu' and very weak, that others may have a opinion other than the opinion that, or the view that he takes. So I also have that discussion. Then we start discussing concerning that individual books amongst these 6 books. So in brief, we mentioned concerning Sahih Bukhari, as that is considered, and we have discussed before regarding by level of their how they are normally mentioned, the sequence by which they are normally mentioned, that you have how they are mentioned by what is expected by the ulama of hadith. So because of the science of these books is more related to ilm al-hadith. So you'll find a lot of attention have been given to these books by way of the ulama of hadith, by way of one, the matan, and also by way of the sanad, by way of the text, and also by way of the chain of narrators. But also these books have been given a lot of attention by the fuqaha. So the ulama of hadith, when they criticize or they look at these books, they study these, they'll go in depth regarding the isnad. So the ulama of hadith, they'll go in depth in looking at the isnad and also the text, but a lot of emphasis will be placed on the isnad by coming to a conclusion regarding hadith being authentic or not. Then also you have the fuqaha that have also given attention to these books, al-kutub al-sitta, by way of explanation. But the bulk of those explanations is not per se in-depth discussion regarding the isnad. So the fuqaha, their explanations of these books, that is more so regarding taking of the benefit and the ahkam that can be taken from these hadiths, so more discussing the matan, not more so the sanad. And the bulk of the explanation that we find are more on that line. The bulk of the explanation of kutub al-sitta, they are more on line of what? The tariq of the fuqaha, which is what? Emphasis will be placed more on the matan. So emphasis will be placed more on the matan. So we discussed concerning Imam Bukhari, concerning that is Sahih. We discussed concerning that as a brief information. I would say each of these goes in depth. So you have like rasail that have been written, and you have many that are there. Would be just, for example, a book would be this thick or close to this, just about Sahih Bukhari and the manners of Imam Bukhari. So you have these research papers or books that have been written, and you find many, not say, but you find enough that one may dedicate just to Sahih Bukhari. It would be 500 and more pages just to discuss concerning Bukhari, and they'll mention, like for instance, Imam Bukhari in brief, his biography, and more go in depth regarding the actual book itself. What are the benefits that can be taken from this book, Al-Bukhari, by way of matters that relates to ilm al-hadith and knowing the manners of Imam Bukhari. So Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, regarding concerning his book in brief, that he wrote this book and he had certain conditions. So he said certain condition regarding his book, and that book is said to be the most authentic books of hadith that we have today. As for the conditions that are laid down by Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, that he didn't per se clarify explicitly exactly what are his conditions. But we have some information that the book is about ahadith that are authentic. But as for the full detail of the condition that they have in place, those are things that the ulama have extracted by studying the book, not per se by way of the words of Imam Bukhari. Clear? With me? So you have conditions, but the author himself did not go in detail in specifying those conditions. I have 10 conditions to my book, But we know he had some condition, and he has indicate that of the condition of Sahih al-Bukhari, that every hadith, the hadith in it is authentic. That's the condition. And also we mentioned by way of the name of the book, we get that understanding of some of the condition of the book and the style of the book by way of the name that is given to the book. Even though we mentioned that you have some discussion regarding the name of Sahih Bukhari, but we mentioned that the name that is the established name, we said, what was it? What was the exact established name? Al-Musnad of Sahih Bukhari. Al-Musnad or Al-Jami', Al-Musnad. So we have Al-Jami', Al-Jami', Al-Musnad, Al-Sahih, Al-Mukhtasar min Umuri Rasulullah sallallahu wa sunanihi wa ayyami. So that's now the established name. That's the name that we said there's a slight discussion, but that's the name that is the more like now accepted name of Sahih Bukhari. Al-Musnad, Al-Jami'. So the word jami' in the ulama, by the word being al-jami' in the vocabulary, the terminology of the ulama of hadith, it is understood what he meant by this, or what is meant by this. The word al-jami' as a meaning. So one would extract from the word al-jami' a meaning. And we mention what is meant by the word al-jami' amongst ulama of hadith. Nam. Then we have the word al-musnad, that also carry a certain meaning with the ulama of hadith. Third, as-sahih, also carry a certain meaning. The word muqtasar, the meaning is clear to that meaning muqtasar. He didn't mention everything that he knew. Just some of what? The ahadith that he knew. He mentioned in this book. Then he mentioned min umur, Rasul alayhi salam, wa sunanihi wa iyami, regarding matter that relates to the Prophet Islam, regarding in specific. Nam. But when one study the book, so that's the general title of the book. And also that give a meaning. Nam. Another, for example, title that is given, they mention al-jami' al-musnad al-sahih al-mukhtasar min athar Rasulullah alayhi salam. So that's also another name that is put forward regarding the possible name. Nam. So, but the four primary ones, the three primary ones regarding al-jami' al-musnad al-sahih, those carry clear meaning as to the approach of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah regarding this particular collection. Then as for concerning that Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, that we mentioned that it reasons that he went out. They mentioned about three reasons, possible reasons why he wrote this book. We mentioned some of those reasons that it took him, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, over Sittat Ashar Sana. It took him over 16 years to put this book together. So it put him over 16 years to write his book, even though he have other books. But to compile this particular work, that he had to travel different places, regarding concerning compiling or putting together this particular book. Also regarding Ustadh, that as for Imam Bukhari, you have certain condition that is that regarding concerning, but it is more go in depth regarding Ilm al-Hadith, regarding concerning that Imam Bukhari, that he have his hadith in his book could be put in broad, that you have hadith it is marfu, that goes back to the Prophet ﷺ, and that's the primary hadith that are used concerning usul. So the hadith that are said to be hadith al-usul in Sahih Bukhari, you have a discussion between the ulama of hadith concerning that hadith al-usul in Sahih Bukhari, what is meant by this? Are you clear? So I said usul meaning concerning the main hadith of this book that are being used as dalil. So he mentioned, so they said refer to hadith al-usul. So these are the hadith that are primary hadith that are intended to be used as a proof, as an evidence regarding what is mentioned, right? So because Imam Bukhari regarding his book, he put it into abwab, into different chapters. And whenever he mentioned something, then he would bring a hadith, several hadith, right, to prove the point that he's trying to discuss. So in each chapter, and then he has kitab, then he has abwab, which would be subtitles. Then he has many subtitles. Of the thing that is, some of those subtitles that he mentioned regarding concerning, so the hadith that are used regarding these subtitles will be hadith marfu, going back to the Prophet Islam, and the ulama mentioned they are the hadith of the usul. So when he mentioned a hadith going back to the Prophet Islam, those are the main hadith of the book. Sometimes I mention a hadith sometimes I mention some athar upon the Sahaba. Those are not the hadith that are the main, a hadith of the book. Clear? When you mention athar upon the Sahaba or upon others, those are not the main hadith of the book. So the main evidence or the main dalil of the book or usul or a hadith that are intended to go back to the Prophet Islam with a full isnad. At times he might mention some hadith going back to the Prophet Islam, but the isnad is not complete. They are called mu'allaqat. Those hadith are not according to his conditions, but they are mentioned either to prove certain points or chapter headings, or to kind of somewhat to prove certain point, but they are not the main hadith of the book. Sometimes you repeat hadith often, and this is a regular occurrence in Bukhari. He will repeat hadith, and also he mentioned hadith in hadith also in also ikhtisar, in a summarized hadith. So if hadith is too long, he would just summarize it and just discuss the part that he needs to discuss the point that he's discussing. So one hadith sometimes we mention many times, 7 times. Some hadith sometimes go more than this. So at times you repeat hadith many times in the book. I know especially the hadith is long, just to take out the part that he needs for that discussion or for that masala. Then we mention that also, so you find that there are some such concern and matter we discussed in brief regarding that also Bukhari rahimahullah, you have many explanation. So the books of Kutub as-Sitta, that of those who have getting a lot of attention regarding explanation, regarding Mukhtasarat, regarding even combined between Bukhari and Muslim, that Bukhari have many explanation. Some of those are in print. So I mentioned that for each madhab that you have explanation. So each concerning that Al-Bukhari rahimahullah, that after first Al-Khattabi of the early ones to give an explanation of Sahih Bukhari. So of the early ones to explain Sahih Bukhari, they mention Al-Khattabi. Then you have many explanation that goes into various level of depth. Some that we mention, and you find that now of the last couple of years that compared to like 30 years ago, the last 10 years, you find many. We have enough explanation of Sahih Bukhari. We have now many explanations that are now more available. We have more explanation compared to 30 years ago, compared to what we have now concerning Sahih Bukhari. We have sufficient amount of explanation that are in print. Now, the more famous ones that are there, we have concerning that the more renowned and famous, and of the one they put as top of the list, that is concerning Fath al-Bari by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Fath al-Bari by Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. And the one concerning Ibn Hajar rahimahullah was ulama of hadith. He's one of the ulama of hadith. And also he was the chief judge. Also he was a chief judge. The thing that Imam would Ibn Hajar, because he was a judge, he was a chief judge. When he discussed things, he come to conclusion. Because the person has said, because of his being a judge and learning that skill, that he know to make decision and live by them. That's the thing with a judge. A judge sometimes said some of the books they'll give you, for example, some books the person mentioned that the aqwal, but it doesn't come to a conclusion. A judge, after a while, he knows that at the end I'll look at the matter, but I'll come to a conclusion. So you find that so you find that his book kind of somewhat it stands out regarding that it can somewhat also it goes in depth at times, also discuss the hadith also with some depth. Not everything is discussed in detail as would have expected. So even though one sent a good explanation, but not everything is in the same detail as would expect. Some hadith that the points taken from it is very minimal. But it said it's one of the main explanation. And we use the word main. We don't see, I myself have not used that is the explanation. Because each book comes at a different benefit based upon the approach of the author and what he intends to discuss. So some of the books might discuss that. So you might say it's one of the main explanation. You have also Qastalani, Irshad al-Sari. Also, it has been printed before, but when recently been printed. So you find a publishing house attached to like a markaz, we said like a research center, that they have a research center that their dedication is Sahih Bukhari. So they try to find all the explanation, any work around Sahih Bukhari. They are online, and also they are printing some of the stuff that they have worked on. So all their stuff is dedicated only to Sahih Bukhari. And some of those stuff are being printed. So you find that Ahnaf also have explanation of Sahih Bukhari. So you find that Irshad al-Sari is by Qastalani Shafi'i, Ibn Hajar, Shafi'i, Ibn Mulakkin, Shafi'i. So you find the Shawafi' that you have many explanations of Sahih Bukhari. But also you find that the Ahnaf also have some explanation. The Maliki also have Ibn Battal of explanation is good regarding Ibn Battal explanation is good by way of taking a ahkam from the hadith. Then you have others, Mu'awwala, that also been in print past several years of the Maliki. So you have different prints that are there. So find that the Ahnaf, the print of the Ahnaf that they see as the main explanation for them, that they'll work with regarding Sahih Bukhari is a book that is called Umdat al-Qari by Al-Aini. So Umdat al-Qari by Aini. That Aini is one of the ulama of the Ahnaf. And we mentioned that he has an ulama of Hadith, of some works in Hadith. So Al-Aini have explained Sahih Bukhari and other books of the Sunnah. So you find those are some of the works that are there. Also Ibn Rajab, Al-Hanbali, also Fath al-Bari. That's incomplete, but also more detail than that of Fath al-Bari by Ibn Hajar. But he did not complete his. So you have many prints. So the person said so regarding concerning the explanation of Sahih Bukhari. Another thing regarding Sahih Bukhari, we have also the book itself. Sahih Bukhari, you have many prints. But you have some that stands out compared to others. So you have some they call concerning Tijariya, prints that are just concerning that commercial prints. Those ones have not much significance. But you have some which is more ilmiya. So you have one that are stand out. You have Bayt Sunnah. They have printed one over the last 2 years or 3 years in about 7 volumes. I had it last week. Is a big print that's considered to be, for now, at this moment, the most accurate print of Sahih Bukhari. It's considered to be one of the more accurate print of Sahih Bukhari. So they're printed initially in about 7 or 8 volumes. Then the intention is to condense it into 2 volumes. So the 7 volumes is more for a person who specializes, for like Tullab al-Ilm and the Mashaykh. That's the original print of 7 volumes. They go in detail in the footnotes and comparison between makhfutat. Regarding the manuscripts and the different riwayat of Sahih Bukhari. So that one is for a person who understands ilm al-hadith and a person who's of ilm. The other print that they wish to do it in 2 volumes is like to remove some of those footnotes. So it's simple to read and straightforward. Also, you have many works regarding Sahih Bukhari. We mentioned that even concerning the Tarajum of Sahih Bukhari, we have explanation only of that. And a book I was to bring, but so that's concerning Sahih Bukhari. In brief, you have some hadith that are criticized in Sahih Bukhari regarding in the sense of those hadith that are criticized in Sahih Bukhari. Doesn't mean criticizing the hadith is da'if. What it means that Imam Bukhari regarding concerning even the men that he mentions, and the asanid is supposed to be of the highest level. So some hadith he mentioned that they are not up to the standard that he supposed to have set. But those hadith are not, we find it is completely weak, but not maybe sahih or hasan, but not to the standard that he initially set regarding his book. Mashi. So that brief in Sahih Bukhari. In brief regarding Sahih al-Bukhari. So in Sahih Bukhari we have a hadith al-marfu'. Also we have a mawqufat upon the Sahaba. So we have also athar upon the Sahaba. The next book that is said that comes out of Sahih Bukhari is Sahih Muslim. So the next book is Sahih Muslim. So the author of that book is, they said, Imam al-Kabir, al-Hafiz, who's Abu Hussein, Muslim ibn Hajjaj, Ibn Muslim, and al-Qushayri and Naysaburi. So it is al-Hafiz al-Kabir, al-Imam al-Hafiz, Abu Hussein, or Abu Hussein, Muslim ibn Hajjaj, Ibn Muslim, al-Qushayri and Naysaburi, Sahib al-Sahih. So Imam Muslim rahimahullah Khurasan, from the ulama of Khurasan, and the ulama who excelled in the field of hadith. So as for Imam Muslim rahimahullah, that some of his shuyukh like al-Bukhari, some of his shuyukh Bukhari, Imam Muslim rahimahullah regarding his book, so also regarding his writing like Bukhari, he has many other books. So Imam Bukhari, that also he didn't have just one book that he wrote. He has other books in different topics. So Imam Bukhari have books in hadith, have books in adab, have books in rijal, have books in aqidah. So Imam Bukhari have books in all those areas. Books in hadith, book we said in rijal, books in adab, books in aqidah. So you have books and other topics. Imam Muslim rahimahullah also have other books. So his more famous book is a book that is referred to as Sahih Muslim. Other books that he have in brief that he mentioned, that he has a book called Al-Ilal. Nam, also Tamiz, that book is in print. That book discussed concerning Ilm al-Ilal. He has a book called Tabaqat that also is in print. So Imam Muslim rahimahullah have several other books. Imam Muslim rahimahullah, he died 261. He died 261. The next matter regarding Imam Muslim, regarding the book that he has concerned, that he referred to as Sahih Muslim. What's the actual name of the book? So I said that, just like Bukhari, you have some books that are known for, said that they are known for other than the name it was given. So something, a book, it is known for other than the name that's actually given or said to be its actual right name. So the same thing with also Sahih Muslim. So Sahih Muslim was the actual name of this book. You have different aqwal. You have different aqwal. You have one of the mashaykh that his name is Abu Ghudda. Abu Ghudda, that is a person also of Ilm al-Hadith, but also is Ahnaf. That type of Ahnaf. Ahnaf type of thing. But you have Ilm al-Hadith. But because it says so, and also regarding Aqidah, some issues in some points in Aqidah, but is of a lot of books that he have checked, but is Ahnaf and done some works also in Hadith. So he has a risala where he discussed concerning some books of Hadith trying to discuss regarding their actual names. Amongst them, Bukhari, Muslim, or Tirmidhi. So you have like a small risala that discuss concerning the names of some of the books of the Sunnah. And that book is in print. As for the name of Sahih Muslim that are mentioned, we just mention them. The mention of the name Al-Musnad, of those who mention Al-Musnad. A second name that is mentioned, Al-Musnad As-Sahih. Al-Musnad As-Sahih. So regarding, for example, this print, which is by Da'at Ta'sil, that their print, that they call the book Sahih Imam Muslim, wa huwa Al-Musnad As-Sahih. So they're more inclined toward the name of Sahih Muslim is Al-Musnad As-Sahih. And others, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, Ibn Manjuya, Al-Hakim, that they are more inclined towards the name regarding Al-Muslim Al-Sahih is the actual name of Sahih Muslim. One of the ulama, another print, we mentioned that. So of another name that regarding the name of Sahih Muslim, the actual name of Sahih Muslim, that they mention Al-Musnad As-Sahih Binaqlin Ad and Adl. And Rasulullah alayhi salam. So another name that is mentioned by Ibn Atiyah, that he mentioned the name of actual Sahih Muslim is Al-Musnad As-Sahih Binaql Ad and Adl and Rasulullah alayhi salam. So that's concerning the name that they give as being the actual name of Sahih Muslim. So that's a third name, another of the names. Naql Ad. So meaning concerning that Al-Musnad As-Sahih Binaql Ad and Adl, by being transmitted by one trustworthy upon another trustworthy. So it's Al-Musnad As-Sahih Binaql Ad, by being narrated by a trustworthy upon a trustworthy narrator upon the Prophet ﷺ. So that's concerning of the name that is given regarding Sahih Muslim. One of the prints that are there, and that name is mentioned, like for example, the more recent print of the Sharh of An-Nawawi, then it has that name per se. That name is mentioned. Another name that is mentioned, and this is a book mentioned by Al-Hafiz Ibn Khair Al-Ishbili, that is said that the name of Sahih Muslim is as follows: Al-Musnad As-Sahih Al-Mukhtasar Min As-Sunan Binaql Ad and Adl and Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. So it's another name. And that one I found a book, one of the prints of the ulama of Hind, that has this name. So there's a print of Sahih Muslim with this particular title on it from the ulama of Hind. And sometimes their prints are general, some of their prints that there can be accurate. To the ulama of Hind, of Hadith of Hind, that there are books in concerning Hadith that they are known to be also of concerning in this field, that some of their works are trustworthy and reliable. So also that was that a general concern discussion regarding the name of Sahih Muslim. So you have those names that are put out. With Sahih Muslim is considered to be regarding authenticity, regarding authenticity is after Sahih Bukhari. But it excels Sahih Bukhari in certain things. One, it excels Sahih Bukhari, or the thing with Imam Muslim that in his book with Sahih Bukhari, there's no introduction. He goes straight into the hadith. Now, a book, now we start with Khutbat al-Haja, Alhamdulillah, Sahih Bukhari, there's no such thing. He goes straight into the book. Imam Muslim, with his book, his collection, he has a muqaddimah, he has a introduction. So Imam Muslim, he has an introduction that discusses concerning matters that relates to ilm al-hadith. So his book has an introduction that gives us some insight regarding the science of hadith. When we take hadith from, and discuss some of those matters. So he discussed certain matters regarding ilm al-hadith. Another thing regarding that with Imam Muslim, that we said, that ulama mentioned excel Sahih Bukhari, Imam Muslim rahimahullah, that we mentioned Imam Bukhari likes to repeat hadith, right? Imam Muslim does that rarely. He does that rarely. So Imam Muslim, when he mentioned hadith, he mentioned hadith one with its full wording, and he doesn't like and doesn't repeat it again unless there's a real reason. And he does that a very few times. So to mention a hadith, he mentions it with his full wording, not abridge the hadith. He doesn't condense the hadith. And also, if there's any other wordings attached, he will mention them right after the main hadith. So you can know the difference in certain wordings of the same hadith. So all hadith that are similar, he will mention them together with a different isnad, and the different wordings will be in one place, not all over the place. So after excellent, that's after the benefit of Sahih Muslim and his layout. Also Imam Muslim, he doesn't mention these, they say tabwibab. He doesn't have these subheadings. He just have kitab. Kitab, tahara, kitab al-salat, kitab al-janaza, kitab al-zakat, kitab al-siyam, kitab al-manasik. وهكذا kitab al-buyu. So he doesn't have, in between, he doesn't have these subheadings. Meaning, for example, how he wrote his book, can you see? You see these, what do you call these? And other books, like what we find, so Imam Muslim, his book is later. So these things that can someone for a person to separate regarding this hadith relating to particular topics. So, An-Nawawi, Qadi Iyad, and others who put subheadings in Sahih Muslim. That's not the work of Imam Muslim. Clear? Should I bring a copy of Nawawi, where they, and Qadi Iyad, where they put the subheadings or titles. But as for Nawawi, he didn't. As for Muslim, that's not his work. That's not from him. So to attribute this to Imam Muslim is considered to be an error, because not from Imam Muslim. So you find a lot of people said that Imam Muslim said in this chapter heading, or Imam Muslim, that's incorrect because he did not do so. Others who did this, but not Imam Muslim rahimahullah. As for the number of hadith in Sahih Muslim, we find that different. With, for example, I brought this one, that according to this print, considered to be a reliable print by Dar Ta'asil, that they do Kutub Sitta and other books, that according to them, Babu Tafsir, according to their print, the number of hadith in Sahih Bukhari, in Sahih Muslim, the last hadith that they have, number 1/3000, 145. That's the amount of hadith in this book. And the reason for this, they're numbering somewhat, we said it below what most will put. So most will go over 8,000. But the reason because of this, out their way of, they change this approach of the numbering, they kind of somewhat adopted a different style. So for example, this book, Dar Tahsil, in referencing a hadith in this book can be a bit tricky. Because they changed the numbering system that we said, which is the norm. Which is the norm by Fawad Abdul Baqi. So they have their own numbering system. So for example, the last two hadith in this book that they mentioned, the last hadith they mentioned hadith 3,145. Then the hadith after, because they're similar hadith but with a different isnad, they mentioned as hadith number 1. So you have hadith 3,145. Then you have hadith 1/3,145. But the same hadith. But because they have different isnad or different wording, they put the same hadith with the same main number, but they will divide it into hadith /1, hadith /2, depending on, because there's a difference in the wording or the isnad, but it's the same hadith. Clear? So that's the system that they follow regarding numbering the hadith, which was said not the traditional way that is followed, but they adopted a different style. So you find one hadith, some hadith, many hadith that they put as, for example, the hadith which is second to last in this book is 3 hadith with the same hadith, but they put 3,144. Then they have /1/3,144. Again 2/3,144. So the same, so 3 hadith, but they give it 3, they give them the main number, but separate them by /1/2 type of thing. So that's their system. Ordinary, a person number, they give all these 3 hadith a different number. Clear? So that's the system that is. So using this numbering system, it can be a bit, you have to do some work. You have to do some reference. So reference hadith, this will give you, it will take you out using their numbering system. So I said, so every book, when a person that is to know the style of each book, so you're not confused. Imam Muslim rahimahullah some mu'allaqat, hadith without isnad, they said around 12 or some mention 14 hadith. So also very few hadith that is without a full isnad. Very few hadith without a full isnad. And you have some books that specifically discuss those. You have some books that specifically discuss those mu'allaqat in Sahih Muslim. And also the same in Sahih Bukhari. Imam Muslim rahimahullah also, he was very particular regarding, we said matter concerning the matan that he used. So, and also at times it was mentioned in the hadith certain ilal. So Imam Muslim rahimahullah, it will mention certain hidden defects in the hadith. So those things also that he will mention in his book. So those are things also that he will at times will mention in his book. So he'll mention certain errors that may occur. So for the person to be mindful of these things, for one to be mindful of these things. As for books concerning that, we have like Shuru ala Sahih Muslim, that there are many. The ones that are like in print and more common that are available regarding explanation of Sahih Muslim. Matters regarding concerning the depth, regarding the matter relating to the isnad, that most of them are Shuru, regarding the more emphasis placed on the matan. More emphasis is placed on the matan. But as for the shuru that are more renowned of Sahih Muslim, the one that are more, you have, and also you have, and now we have a Muqtasar of Sahih Muslim. Also, and now we have an explanation of Sahih Bukhari, but only in a few volumes. He didn't complete, but Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, that, but the more renowned of the explanation of Sahih Muslim, that they have one by Al-Maziri, Mu'lan. Then we have Qadi Iyad, who came after and did Ikmal Al-Mu'lam fi Sharh Sahih Muslim. That's a good explanation. So you find that of those ones, you have got Al-Mu'lam fi Sharh Sahih Muslim by Maziri Al-Maliki. Nam. So he explained Sahih Muslim. Then Qadi Iyad came after and added extra additional information on that explanation. Then now we came and also added to that. So now we book is also additional explanation from the work of Qadi Iyad. Also an explanation that is there that of Sahih Muslim that we mentioned, and now rahimullah, that's the one that is more popular. That's the one that is more popular regarding explanation of Sahih Muslim. But you have others that you have also contemporaries. You have Al-Mufhim Lil Al-Qurtubi. So Al-Qurtubi, that he made a Muqtasar of Sahih Muslim. Then he explained his own Muqtasar. That's called Mufhim. And that one is in print, and also a very good explanation. Also a good explanation. They mentioned that you have one explanation that just came out, but it's in one volume. We find that one of the ulama, that is that you have an explanation of Sahih Muslim, that is it said a father and son both are ulama. Father and son were ulama. The son that started an explanation both of Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, but he didn't complete. Both are in print. Then the father came to kind of somewhat to complete what his son did. But the son that he died at a very young age, type of thing in his 20s, when he started discussing to give an explanation of Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Then he died. Then his father came and tried to complete what his son started. Those ones are now somewhat in print, but they come in very few volumes. But the more common ones that we mentioned regarding concerning Al-Mu'lam, Bifawaid Kitab al-Muslim by Mazari. Also the other one, Ikmal al-Mu'lam by Qadi Iyad. Also, and others. Also you have Ikmal al-Mu'lam by Ubbi. So one called Ubbi that who came and also explained another explanation. That one also is in print. The problem with that one is also in print, the old type of print. But another print that is readable print, but it's just the publishing house is a problem. Okay, you have certain books that you have a book that is in. I said, is it Najah al-Qari, Sharh Sahih Bukhari by Zadu. One of the ulama of him, they have an explanation of Sahih Bukhari. Now he came a latter day time. That print is it's expensive to get that book. Now the problem that the print also is not the best of print. So it's a book to have, but the problem is if you buy that book now with the print that it is now, you know that possibly you have to buy that book with the intention that I may have to repeat buying that book. But that book now is £700. That's what a discount. If they come in 30-something volumes. But that book, if you buy it now, like certain books from certain publishing house, if you buy their book, sometimes they have a book that they're the only print. But if you buy it, know that one day I may have to repeat buying this book. It's not, so you buy it because there's no other print, so you buy it, but no, if I buy this print, one day I may have to repurchase this book. And certain books are like this. But I can somewhat mention that, yes, yeah, so those are the more renowned printers from the ulama of contemporary times who have explained Sahih Muslim, that some of the ulama of Hind and other places. So you find that of those ones, we mentioned that Al-Mufhim لما أشكل في تلخيص في كتاب المسلم by Abu Abbas Ahmed ibn Umar al-Qurtubi. That explanation also is there, and also okay, good explanation. Then you find other explanation of contemporaries, that of those we have one of the ulama of Hind, that is called Fat Mulhim Bishar Sahih Muslim. And this is by Shabbir Ahmed Uthmani. And they're like from the Diyobah, they're from they have concerned Dar Ulum. They are concerned the Shuyukh of Dar Ulum. They are the Shuyukh of Dar Ulum. So they have this explanation of Sahih Muslim, that generally a decent explanation. At times more detailed than that of An-Nawawi. So it comes in 5 volumes that Talib al-Ilm can benefit from. Then you have the like of Sheikh al-Ethiopi. He has the largest collection of Sahih. He has the largest explanation of Sahih Muslim, and also you have another of Sheikh al-Harri. Also both have very large explanation. The Sheikh Ethiopi, Sheikh Adam Ethiopi, that or Muhammad ibn Ali al-Ethiopi, his explanation of Sahih Muslim come over 50 volumes. Over 50 volumes. Some of it is repetition, and also of contemporary Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen of Taliq ala Sahih Muslim. So Ibn Uthaymeen have also some work on Sahih Muslim, incomplete, but he has, and also Tawfiq al-Rabb al-Mun'im Bishar Sahih Muslim by Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Rajihi. By Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Rajihi, one of the Mashaykh in Riyadh, So those are both concerning explanation of works or matters relating to Sahih Muslim. So for the Talib al-Ilm, I said as for Prince of Sahih Muslim, that there are many. That as for so different prints of Sahih Muslim that are available. The next book to be discussed is Abu Dawud. The next book to be discussed, Sunan Abi Dawud alayhi rahmatullah. So as for Abu Dawud, we just gonna somewhat, as for Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah, so his name, as they mentioned regarding concerning that Abu Dawud, Sulaiman ibn Ash'ath ibn Ishaq al-Bashir al-Azdi al-Sajistani. So Abu Dawud, his name is Sulaiman, that is kunya. Abu Dawud, his kunya is Sulaiman ibn Ash'ath ibn Ishaq ibn Bashir al-Azdi al-Nisa al-Sajistani. Ibn Bashir al-Azdi al-Sajistani. As for consider to know that as for his like his students, the like of his teachers, the likes of Imam Ahmed rahimahullah. So Abu Dawud of his Ahmed amongst his shuyukh. And as for Abu Dawud rahimahullah also have several works. Abu Dawud have several works. Of them is famous the Sunan. Also he has a book concerning so when he wrote this book, As-Sunan, which is this one, which is Sunan Abu Dawud, some mentioned as being Al-Musnad Abu Dawud, but is referred to as Sunan Abu Dawud. That this book, regarding concerning Sunan Abu Dawud, when he wrote this book, then also he has, which is now in a part of this print, that at the back of the book, he wrote a Risala to Al-Mecca, to explain, generally give a general breakdown of the reason behind why he wrote this book. So he has a Risala that he wrote to Al-Mecca that give a general breakdown regarding what the purpose regarding this particular book. So they call Risala Al-Mecca, the Risala to the people of Mecca, that is written by Abu Dawud rahimahullah regarding this particular book called As-Sunan. So So as for this book concerning As-Sunan, that is considered to be of the books of As-Sunan. So it said As-Sunan, by way of the ulama of hadith, mean concerning book that discuss concerning ahkam. Regarding concerning ahkam, so this book is mainly concerning that, not to discuss concerning matters regarding, so As-Sunan is more so books that relates to fiqh related books. So this is said to be the first book that is said to be of the books of Al-Ahkam, As-Sunan Al-Hadith Al-Ahkam. Of the ulama who mentioned that this book, Sunan Abu Dawud, is the first book that is written regarding Hadith al-Ahkam. So in this book, Abu Dawud, rahimahullah, that it mentioned a hadith, and his intent of this book is to gather a hadith, to collect a hadith that are generally used as a delil by the fuqaha. So the intent of this book is to get a hadith that are used by the fuqaha. So amongst this you find hadith which is sahih, that's the bulk of what is mentioned, but also you find hadith which is da'if. And as we mentioned that Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah, that he mentioned that there's 4 hadith in this book that is mawdu. And a discussion regarding that matter. Some, Al-Albani rahimahullah, all that there's 2 hadith that is mawdu in this book of Abu Dawud. Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned that there's 2 hadith that is mawdu in the book of Abu Dawud. So you have that discussion regarding how many hadith is said to be mawdu in the book of Abu Dawud. Then some mention 4, some mention 2, and the likes. As we said that this book is of the books of Sunan, so the main intent or purpose of this book is regarding discussing Hadith al-Ahkam. So Abu Dawud rahimahullah, when he mentioned abwab, so you have many abwab. Many abwab, he will mention the strongest hadith on that topic. So whenever mention hadith, he'll mention the strongest hadith on that topic. We use the word the strongest hadith on that topic. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will be all the time what? Sahih. So I might mention a discussion, a bab, and mention the strongest hadith that is used by the fuqaha, but it doesn't necessitate that the hadith it is authentic. But he'll normally start with the most authentic and move down to the least. So let's say if you want to know concerning any bab of fiqh or concerning for the fuqaha, that this will be a book regarding the books of the Sunan to study. Abu Dawud is of those one that will be first on the list. Because he tried to collect hadith 1 that is generally used by the fuqaha as a dalil. And also he will mention first the hadith that is said to be the most strongest. That is being used, and he mentioned that which comes below this. Also with him, also with others, because it's a book of fiqh, he will also repeat hadith. You'll mention, so normally you'll try to condense the hadith and use the portion that is needed to prove that point or that discussion. So that's concerning also of those who will condense his hadith and also repeat hadith. With the book of Abu Dawud also, that they mentioned that also it will give statement regarding rulings at times on the hadith and also on some of the men of the hadith. And also mention some of the, and also clarify certain points that is mentioned in some hadith. So at times it will give his views regarding clarifying some of the narrators, and also on some matters, other matters he also will mention this as is no mention قال Abu Dawud أما الراوي يحيى بن سعيد. So they mention regarding, so he will mention certain things regarding that to give some clarity on certain points. Abu Dawud, of the point to be mindful of, that the normal practice regarding concerning that when he starts, it's Abu Dawud rahimullah, that will mention that at the end is a book that more dedicated regarding fiqh related points. Clear? But he mentioned regarding concerning that at the end of the book he mentioned Kitabu Sunnah. So normal books of Sunan do not mention, but I said that become a latter day practice. That it says, but Abu Dawud rahimahullah, when he put his book together, he did include a bab called Kitabu Sunnah, and that discussed concerning matters regarding Aqidah. So he discussed concerning An-Nahy al-Jidal wal-Itibal Mutashabih al-Quran, bab Mujanabat al-Ahli al-Bida' ma'a ahli al-Ahwa wa bugduhum, bab Tark al-Salam ala ahli al-Ahwa. So he discussed concerning matters that are considered to be matters relating to Aqidah. He mentioned also in that bab Rad al-Jahmiyah wa Mu'tazila. Discuss concerning bab al-Ru'ya. So he discussed bab fil Quran, bab fil Shafa', bab fi khalq al-Jannah wal Nar. So he discussed some matters relating to Aqidah in his Sunan. Because of, in the sense of the mention of the ulama of past, they will mention books of Sunan by way of Ahkam. If you have learned Ahkam of Islam but your Aqidah is not correct, then that's not then that's not correct. For a person to say he has studied fiqh, but matters concerning his aqidah, it is pear-shaped, then that's not correct. So a person of fiqh also should represent correct aqidah. So Imam Abu Dawood and others, that they'll include a bab concerning Kitabu Sunnah to discuss certain points related to aqidah, more so to refute those who have gone astray. Then also he mentioned Bab al-Adab. So the person who have studied concerning aqidah, aywa, and then fiqh, then also he should study also al-adab, aywa.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah. Asyhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. هيا على الصلاة. هيا على الصلاة. هيا على الفلاح. هيا على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulullah wa ba'd. So in continuing discussing with Abu Dawood, I will mention that at the end of this book, in this particular print, they have a risala أبي داود السليمان الأشعث السجستاني إلى أهل المكة في وصف السنن. So that's concerning the book that he can somewhat give a brief outline regarding his sunan, concerning what's the system that he follow regarding this book. This particular, in this print that we have, that is the 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 3.5 page. We give a general outline regarding his approach regarding this book. So a person want to understand the book of those things that he will read this risala to have a general idea regarding the approach of Abu Dawood regarding this sunan. Then the point that the next point that is mentioned, so even he mentioned that, so he mentioned some of those points that sometimes he may not, he will clarify the hadith, and at times if the hadith is very weak, he will clarify it. Sometimes he may not. He mentioned regarding that he have marasil, that he mentioned also in the book, that based upon some of the ulama that they see as a dalil a hadith al-marasil. So he mentioned some of those in this, mentioned them. So he mentioned certain things that a person have a general idea regarding his approach regarding this particular book of as-sunan. The next point regarding concern that, to be said that when you, this book he mentioned started regarding as way of the tabwibab, or the chapter heading. He mentioned Kitabu Tahara. Then he mentioned after Tahara, he mentioned Kitabu Salat. After Kitabu Salat, he mentioned as-salat, different matter regarding as-salat, as-safar. Then he mentioned Kitab Ramadan. Then he mentioned Kitab al-zakat. Then Kitab al-manasik. Somewhere there's siyam. No siyam, but he mentioned Kitab al-zakat, Kitab al-manasik. Then after manasik, after then discussing also the manasik, meaning hajj, wal umrah, he discussed. After that, the last he mentioned, Bab Ziyaratul Qubur. That's the last chapter regarding manasik. Then he mentioned after that, Kitab Aish. What will come next? So he discussed Tahara. He discussed Salat. He discusses, we mentioned what? Zakat. Then after Zakat, he discussed, he mentioned, then he mentioned after the other few, then he mentioned Kitab al-Manasik. After Manasik, what comes? No, not Biyu. There's no Siyam. Then he mentioned after, they mentioned Kitab al-Nikah. After Manasik, he discussed Kitab An-Nikah. After Kitab al-Nikah, he discussed Kitab al-Talaq. Then after he discussed Kitab al-Siyam. So we organize his books a bit different from what we're used to. So as I said, that don't judge those before us by our standards. Or what become established or the norm amongst us. Others may not follow what is norm for us, may be different from them. So Abu Dawud rahimahullah, that he discussed concerning matters regarding an-nikah wa talaq and delayed kitab as-siyam. So the norm that we know today that regarding concerning books of the fuqaha, they discuss tahara, salat, then what comes after? Zakat, siyam, al-hajj, based upon the usul al-khams, those four, then discuss depending on then, you understand? So that's then going to mu'amalat. But we said with Abu Dawud from the early works that siyam came later on. Siyam came later. So a person might look in, where's siyam? It's later on. So sometimes just bear in mind regarding when you each book that be mindful of the approach of the author. Also he mentioned that book, so he mentioned concerning Kitab al-Ilm later on. So he mentioned certain abwab, and we mentioned of those ones that he mentioned regarding concerning that in the books what they call as sunan, books of Hadith al-Ahkam, that what become now the standard practice, that they would not mention things regarding Aqidah. But in his book, he mentioned matters regarding Aqidah. So that's, as for explanation, that there are many. That as for like explanation regarding Sunnah Abi Dawud, that you have Al-Khattabi of the early ones to explain Sunnah Abi Dawud. So that one is in print. By the way of Khattabi, the more famous explanation that is called Awn al-Ma'bud. The more famous explanation of Abu Dawud is called Awn al-Ma'bud. But bear in mind concerning Awn al-Ma'bud, is a muqtasar of another book. So Awn al-Ma'bud, as I said, the more renowned explanation of Sunan Abi Dawud, there's a book that is called Ghayat al-Maqsood fi Hil Sunan Abi Dawud. When I was in Medina, I saw about the first 4 volumes, but it's incomplete. So the book that is called Awn al-Ma'bud, it's a summary of another book. And Awn al-Ma'bud is mainly concerned manqulat, narrating from others. Is mainly narrating from others. So you have Awn al-Ma'bud, Sharh Sunnah Abi Dawud, that is a summary of another book. Also you have other explanations that are out, that a few of them of recent came out. As-Suyuti have an explanation of Kutubu Sitta. So Suyuti, you have some like small footnotes and Kutubu Sitta. One of those ones that are recent came out, a book called Fath al-Wudud ala Sunnah Abi Dawud, in around 8 volumes. One of the ulama of Hind, Abdul Hadi al-Sindi. So Abdul Hadi al-Sindi, that is about 7 volumes. That one, so you find that that one is print, and they also have a larger one, which is called a Sharh of Sunnah Abi Dawud by Ibn Raslan. One that the print, it is printed by they call Jaiza al-Dubai. They have their own printing house. They have printed this Sunnah Abi Dawud in around 20 volumes. And there's another print that was before this, that are getting about 20 volumes. And the second print, the one by in Dubai print, is saying the first one that came out a couple of years ago, it have errors. So it means that if you bought the first one, then you need to buy the second print by the same book. So I said these are things that that's the books of, and I've said each of them is like 20 volumes. So I said, so that's the thing. So that's it there. And you have other books that are there regarding of the explanation. You have Badul Majul fi Hil Sunnah Abi Dawud, one of the ulama of Hind, but explanation, but is more with his explanation more inclined to the madhab of the Ahnaf. He's more inclined to the madhab of the Ahnaf, and others who have explained Sunan Abi Dawud. So there's several explanations of. You have Mulghatahi of an explanation of Sunan Abi Dawood. Also another one, also Al-Badr ad-Din al-Aini, of an explanation of Sunan Abi Dawood, that is also in print. So you find different explanations that are there. And Muqtasar of Sunan Abi Dawood. So the thing concerning the Talib of Hadith, they gather all those books. That having one is for a beginner. So the thing that the person who is a specialist in Hadith, then his quest is to get every explanation and as much work on each of these books separately. One work is not sufficient. If you go to certain of the Mashaykh of their library, Sunan Abi Dawood, that's the book of Abu Dawood. They'll have all the different prints, just of Sunan Abi Dawood. So for one book like this, they'll have every single print, because each print of a book is considered to be a separate book completely. Why? That's of the reason of something. But also, for example, Sunan Abu Dawood, you might have also different riwayat. Also, each person does a work on Sunan Abu Dawood might have a different approach. So this one is considered to be an accurate print of Abu Dawood. So I'll give the ruling of Shaykh Albani. So he starts off, so his print, that he said there, Sahih. That's from Shaykh Albani. So this one, his name is from Urdun, he's called Isam Musa Al-Hadi. So he has a tahqiq of Kutub Sunan Arba. But all his works are considered to be generally reliable. They're generally reliable. But, so he has some footnotes, but also he gives the hukum of Shaykh Albani. Shaykh Albani rahimahullah also add some works on Sunan Arba. That what he did, he divide Sunan Arba into a Sahih wa Daif. So you go, for example, all the hadith that he owes to be Sahih in, for example, Abu Dawood, he put it in one separate book. Then all the ones that are Daif, he put in a separate volume. So he make a two distinction, they call Sahih Sunan Abi Dawood, Daif Sunan Abi Dawood. Clear? And also with Shaykh Albani, he gives his ruling, but without going into detail regarding how he comes to this conclusion. Another thing that he did, Shaykh Albani, rahimahullah, that also he removed the isnad. He removed the isnad. And as mentioned, the Sahabi and the Hadith. And the Aqwal of Abu Dawood also, he removes it. So he does get his ruling, and that's something to work with, but not, some don't see it as the ideal situation. So you find others who have bring back the isnad, like for example, Shaykh Mashur Hassan, one of his students of Albani, that brought the ahkam of Shaykh Albani, but with a full isnad and everything that is mentioned in the original book. So I said, this one, so I said each book concerned is that each person give footnotes might go in different level of detail. So that's the thing that with each book. Is now the person level of his speciality in that work, and that field, and that will be noticed in his footnotes. Some people buy a book mainly for the footnotes. The footnotes for them, that they'll pay a lot of attention regarding the footnotes to see how much that person is said to be a specialist in that field. Its footnotes will show up or give that indication. We'll stop there because we are supposed to have discussed this other one. We said the same person. So he did this work on Abu Dawood, but also he did this one on Jameykee al-Kabir, that is called at-Tirmidhi. So he called it al-Jameykee al-Kabir Sunan at-Tirmidhi. Also a khilaf regarding, is that name of the book? What's the name of the book of at-Tirmidhi? But the general name will become al-Jami'. That's not what is established. That is called al-Jami' by Imam at-Tirmidhi. So we'll stop there inshallah ta'ala, and we'll see when we meet again.